The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to my State of Mind here for this Wednesday evening. In a conversation recorded just yesterday, the Ed Commissioner for Rhode Island, Angelica Infante-Green, explains where we are, actually where we've been, and where we are going with battling COVID-19 and educating our children. That conversation comes up in a matter of moments. Please stay with us. To my State of Mind Wednesday evening. This is a conversation, again, that we recorded yesterday afternoon. And I mention the timelines because they are fluid right now when it comes to getting the schools back in business.
A new statewide calendar marks August 31st as the official first day of school.
I am setting a goal that we in Rhode Island will return to full in-person school this fall.
In the meantime, district officials have homework to submit plans for different scenarios. The state will have more health and safety standards to release soon.
You need a plan for nearly all the students being in school, a plan for a hybrid, and a plan for, God forbid, if there's a resurgence and we have to go to distance learning.
Governor Raimondo warns things will look different in the fall.
Fewer kids on a bus and more buses and more transportation. It'll probably involve mask wearing of some kind, certainly for the adults in some way.
But how exactly will school officials make that work safely? North Providence's superintendent says that's a question he and many others are trying to figure out.
We really need to get back to school, and everybody wants to get back to school.
Transportation is a big concern for him. He tells me based on current CDC guidelines, he would need 5 times the amount of school buses. And based on his research, the supply is just not there. He's looking forward to more guidance from the state.
But the challenge for superintendents in districts is to fulfill what our goal is every single year, and that is to provide a high-quality education that is within an environment that is safe for everyone.
I do believe Governor Raimondo kind of jumped the gun and surprised some, certainly a lot of superintendents in the state when she said August 31st is her goal date, but the Commissioner of Education was there to respond, and I know had done some preliminary work, extensive preliminary work, including but not limited to establishing a tentative calendar for this entire episode of returning to glory, so to speak. She's wrapping up her first year as the commissioner. What a ride. Angelica Infante-Green, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been quite a ride, I'll tell you.
Let's go backwards first. March hit, and you know what hit the fan here. Rhode Island was the first to jump into distance learning, and there's a lot of self-congratulation going on in the state about that. Why is that warranted?
Well, I'll tell you what it means is that we were one of the states that were able to pull it off. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that it's gone well everywhere. But what it does mean is that we worked together as a community to do it. So some states didn't do anything at all. They just canceled schools, and that's all that happened. So that's why we're seen as national leaders, but that by no means means that it has been perfect or where it should be for all students. We're going to learn from that experience, and we're going to put the things that worked into play as we move forward. But that's why we're getting the credit that we're getting. It is because we managed to pull it off in a few days, and we were one of the few states that actually have plans. Other states kind of just turned on like a water faucet and we're ready the next day. But we actually took a week to plan, and we had that in the works even before we closed schools.
Listen, I think there's no doubt that at least your rhetorical disposition at the beginning was one of digging in and trying the best you can not to lose any ground. The Commonwealth decided and really had a kind of a mission statement that came out and said, and I'm paraphrasing, but put your finger in the dike and hold on. It was that kind of was what they were saying. Put as much pressure on the districts and enable the districts to make their own autonomous decisions about where they want it to be. Can you explain, now that you've been through it and we are nearing the end of the school year here, what the tangible difference, say, between Massachusetts and Rhode Island has been?
Yes, so there's a couple of differences. The first one is that we actually met with the parochial schools and the private schools and all our schools. So we really looked at this as a statewide approach. because we learned from our first case, which was in a parochial school, that our kids were also sharing the statewide bus. So we're so small that we're so closely connected that was one thing that we did differently and that we have done differently than any other state. So no state can say that they've done that. The other part that I think was extremely important is that we said we have to figure out how to get instruction to kids, right? And we were, building the plane as we were flying it. We admit that's part of the challenge that we had. And some people were able to do it a lot smoother than others. But what we have learned, which has been great, is one, that we can do statewide planning now. We've had student statewide summits. We've had professional developments for teachers across the state. So we have learned to do things as a state and not just individual districts. So that's something that has really helped us move forward.
Yeah. Look, when you take a look at the report, and I would suggest that everybody read the report that's on the RIDE website, In Pursuit of Excellence. It's a really well done capsule on pre-COVID, COVID, and the current challenge that you have. There's a lot of reference to the mechanics of how you've got through this whole thing, and it offers a lot of substantial detail. Substance, I think, is important for people to. It's been happening, but the difficulty is that you're not willing to understand. By the way, you're not going to be in an assessment mode. You're not going to take the RICAS, so we're not going to see. And by the way, nobody is, right? So it's got
That's right.
Like a punt year that way. Forgive me, I just feel like there's been a lot of cheerleading and rah-rahing over this whole thing without actually being able to explain what you were able to tangibly hold on to educationally, whether you've slipped only, say, theoretically 10% versus the country 10%. Is it even legitimate to ask about RIDE providing a tangible, substantive, some kind of criteria or scoreboard to say, this is how well we did, this is how far we were from where we would have been if nothing had hit? Is it reasonable?
Well, I don't know if it's reasonable, but what we will be doing come September is that we will have assessments across the board, the same assessments, so that for us to know where we are, so that we know what the kids will need. Do we need a longer day? Do we need more math? So that we have an idea of where we are, because we don't have it because we didn't administer the RICAS. So we do plan on doing that. That's part of our COVID plan, is to really measure what has actually had success. One of the things we do, Dan, is that we send out a survey to parents and teachers and to students about what their experience is like, where they've been learning, for some high school students, they have welcomed this. They can work a little more at their own pace. Some of them have said that they have more of a relationship with their teacher, which may sound counterintuitive, but has happened in certain cases. So I think that there's a lot to still learn, and we're collecting all that data every day, because we don't know how long we're going to be in this space. We do know that come September, there is going to be a hybrid model, because there will be kids that will be out sick. There will be situations where the distance learning will have to continue. So we're going to spend a lot of time this summer really looking at what worked well and what did not.
Regardless of where you are, we'll talk about the hybrid stuff in the next segment. Regardless of where you are, the assessment that you're offering in September would be the same kind of annual assessment. So there's a criteria for performance by grade that you'll be able to measure too. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, so there's going to be an assessment that most districts administer assessments throughout the year. So we're going to have one for the whole state, and we are going to get psychometricians that will tell us if we could correlate it to the RICAS exam, so that we have an idea of where we are. Not for any accountability, not for any other purpose than for us to plan and know if there's a gap, how big the gap is, where they actually learned, what, students in this particular class, what happened. So that's what we're going to be doing, so that we do have something tangible to say, hey, no, there's a gap of 3 months, 6 months, no gap. We have to be able to put our fingers on that, and we don't have that data right now. Nobody in the nation has that data.
good enough. When we come back, we'll talk about how the process to say goal August 31st began, what's involved, and what deadlines both the state and the districts have. When we continue with Angelica Infante-Green already. Back in to our state of mind, Angelica Infante-Green, of course, is our education commissioner, and talk about trial by fire. There was enough going on with the Providence rehaul, never mind COVID-19, and now we're stuck smack in the middle of that whole situation. So the governor burped out the other day that August 31st was her goal date, but she was just changing the subject. Attendance across the state expressed a lot of angst, dissatisfaction over what they thought was a sprung date on them. Can you react to that?
Well, I think the calendar piece, we have been working with a couple of groups, the unions, the RISA, the superintendent, the principals group, as well as the school board. So that conversation we have been having. So that should not have been a surprise, August 31st as our start date. What I think was a surprise was the all in person, all at once. And what we're now in the process of is creating these plans. The districts will have to create these plans of what if we have to go all in person? What if we have only 50% of the kids come back, 25? What is that going to look like? Using the guardrails that we will provide this Friday that we've created with the Department of Health.
Okay. We don't know. We don't know where this virus is going to be. That's not your fault. That's not the governor's fault. That is nobody's fault. Yet reacting, putting a marker up, talking about being one of the first in the country now to set a calendar for the school year is kind of a phantom exercise, seems to me. You're going to have to do all of this deliberate preparation on what seems to be multi-platform levels. In fact, tell me, how many identifiable levels of activity do you actually have for August 31st? Meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hybrid is, square root of 8. I mean, it's very complicated, right?
Oh, yes, it is. So we have gone back and forth from 3 to 5. So there's going to be 3 distinct plans, but there are going to be some hybrids of those plans. So we're looking forward to about 5 of those that will be in place. And they're just planning for wherever we are, because we don't know. What this virus has taught us is that once we think we understand it, it changes. So we don't know where we're going to be. It's just preparation for what may happen. And there's guidelines on certain things from the CDC that we have to abide by. And how do we bring back the kids safely? And how many can we bring back? I think is the conversation that we're going to have.
We also know the CDC is not completely fleshed out on their guidelines. That you've got a deadline of this Friday to provide what's called guidance to districts, who then have to come back on July 17th with a plan. Forgive me for suggesting that this is inverted. It seems to me, let's play a role play here. If I'm the governor, I sit down with you and delegate, the whole kit and caboodle, but I don't let go of that. I sit down myself with you and the 40 school district leaderships and say, you know what, and all the stakeholders, all of the 65 really identifiable, you call them LEAs, the learning agencies, and just put a whiteboard up and say, okay, shoot, tell me what the problems are, and instead it's, we're going to go, you're charged with it, the commissioner charged with giving them guidance, and then they've got 30 days to come back and tell you how they're going to do it. I don't think that, I don't see that as promoting buy-in. I don't find that to be a structure that inevitably is going to ensure the best shot at success. Tell me why it's okay.
Well, so a couple of things. I'm glad you mentioned that, Dan, because a couple of things have happened. We have met with small groups of superintendents regionally because this affects different districts differently. So we've met with them, small groups, getting their take, what it is that they want to see, what kind of guardrails will make sense for their individual communities. So we have met with them. Then we are going to we're going to assign someone from RIDE to work with each district to help them create these plans. And the Department of Health is going to be part of this all along the way. Because the Department of Health has helped create those guardrails for safety. So we're not doing anything in absence of them. Even the calendar that we put together, we worked with all different constituency groups. But at the end of the day, the Department of Health made the final call because it makes sense for us to work in that way. So there's going to be a lot of support. There's a lot we don't know. That is the honest truth. But we're moving ahead and we're going to provide support. We just have to have a couple of plans in place so that we're not caught off guard come the new school year.
When we come back, we'll talk specifically about how we're going to protect kids, adults, and families. Stay with us with the Commissioner of Education, Angelica Infante-Green. Be right back.
Tackling the stories and issues that everyone's talking about. Catch Dan Yorke's State of Mind. Log on to WPRI.com, weeknights at 8.
Back to my state of mind, Angelica Infante-Green, the commissioner, is here. I just think I appreciate her accessibility, not only here but across the state. From the very get-go, has been very, very, very intimately involved in networking, and of course, it's really antithetical to your nature with this COVID-19 thing because you must be going nuts because you're a reach out and touch someone. You know, it's got to be hard, right?
It is hard. It is hard, Dan. And we're sleeping like 2-3 hours a night, trying to ensure that we do the right thing by kids and teachers and all the community. That is the first thing that is front and center as we do this work.
Tell me what the difference is. Obviously, we work, there's a curve lowering process that I got to give the governor credit on. I think she's been very narrow and a little bit inverted in a lot of her process. Consultation, but notwithstanding that, the curve seems to be in somewhat control. We didn't explode into auxiliary hospitals quite yet, and hopefully a second rage of this virus doesn't come through. The rest of the country's not behaving very well, so it's always a variable. But tell me what the difference in March when you said, kids got to go. Kids are transmissible. Kids can, they may not get too sick, cross our fingers with some of the anomalies that we've seen. But they can make teachers and other adult faculty acceptable, and they can take it home to mom and dad and grandparents and families. That was the underwriting foundational move. The rest of the country, jumped on that too. You really think plans 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hike that there's going to be a lesser concern about that come August 31st?
Well, I think it depends. So we're seeing the numbers go down in Rhode Island. It depends how steady, because we're working with the Department of Health. If they think we're not ready, then we won't be ready. But we see the numbers every day going down in Rhode Island. So we're pretty hopeful. And one of the things that is really important for us because of our proximity with Massachusetts and Connecticut is that we've been working together with both the states. I met with both commissioners yesterday. I'm meeting with them again today so that we're in alignment, because it's very fluid with our borders. So that's where we are. I don't know where we'll be in August, to be honest with you, Dan, but we do know that we're going to follow the Department of Health's lead and the numbers that they say are safe or not. If it's not safe, then we're not going to go back.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is going to be some jump ball, though, between the governor of health and the education commissioner, because people want to know who's in charge. And there's no more important decision in this COVID return than the kids and the schools and everybody involved with them, including the adults, because of the nature, the societal nature of the entire thing. So at the end of the day, who's really making this call? Come October, you see a little bit of a spike. Will you need a Department of Health warning or the COVID-19 Ghostbusters task force that before you say, time out, we got to pull this back? who really makes the call? And do you fear that you're going to be in a position that you may feel differently about this than the DOH and or the governor?
Well, I hope I don't feel differently. I think I'm pretty vocal. I push back where I need to, but we've been working very collaboratively with the Department of Health. And one of the things, Dan, is that we have somebody actually sitting at the Department of Health that works on our team, because that's important to us to really have the information very fluid and real time. So one of the things we're working on is some sort of data system that we get notified immediately if there's anything, and then we make the call together. Because at the end of the day, I am responsible for what happens in these schools, but the Department of Health is responsible for all the health practices that happen in the entire state. So they sort of supersede that, but I will be there making those decisions alongside them.
Any feel for extracurricular things like sports?
So we are figuring that out. What we have so far is that we're going to keep some of the same guidance that we provided in the summer, social distancing, not playing against other teams right now. I think we're working on that because we know how important it is for the students.
All right, 30 seconds. At the end of the day, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being absolute, 0 being no way. We're back in school come Labor Day? What's the number?
I can't tell you that, to be honest with you. And the one thing that I will not do is say something that I don't know. My hope is that we can get as many kids back safely. I have to say that, safely, into in-person instruction, because you've pointed it out, right? I think we're feeling good about what we've done in distance learning, but it does not substitute in-person learning. It just does not.
We didn't even get to the transportation part. That's really the big variable, isn't it?
It is the big variable, and it's going to cost an enormous amount of money, and we're going to have to stagger entrance. There's a lot of work that we're going to need to do to be in that space, and that's going to determine who comes back first and who comes back when.
Commissioner, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much for sharing. Appreciate it. And good luck.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for all the great questions.
Day in, day out, both here and on the radio on WPRO, weekdays 3 till 6. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night and on the radio tomorrow, starting at 2, actually, an extra hour. Have a great evening. See you.